Hi friends, welcome to Tech Arkit YouTube channel. My name is Ravi. In this video session, we are going to see AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner course. The next video is about AWS Security Services. So what are the additional security services? We see that what are the application security services in last video, but what are the other security services the AWS can provide and what they how they provide the security to the AWS cloud native services and on-premises services if you use them. First one is AWS config, AWS guard duty, AWS inspector, AWS artifact, and AWS Cognito. These are the AWS security services. Let's see what they can do and how they provide the security here. If you go to the AWS config service, AWS config service is a service which provides by AWS that enables customers to assess, audit, and evaluate the configuration of their AWS resources. AWS config continuously monitors and records the configuration of your AWS resources, which allows you to understand how the resources are configured, how they are related to one another, and how they are being used over time. So this is very important that you configure these resources and you just left these resources. But later point of time, example, one administrator configured the AWS services, he left. So some reference document, someone makes the architectural document and they save them. Some of the organizations, like if a small organizations, they don't make any architectural diagrams or anything, just deploy the services and depend on one administrator. If the administrator left, so they can do how they can correlate which services do what and what is the workflow and what depends on what services. So this we don't know at this moment. What you can do is that you can use this AWS config service, which provides you to uh, resource scan and draw the dependency diagram, something like that. So that will make you one thing to understand what services makes what dependency and all. Okay, so this one provides compliance and security. AWS config can help you ensure that your AWS services compile with security and compliance standards by continuously monitoring and editing the configurations of your resources. So it continuously monitors and audits your resources so that you can easily identify uh, who accessed the service and what the changes he did and use which account he used and all these details it provides in detail so that you can just go to the audit trail and find out that who actually configured which service and who shut down the server and who terminated the service, all this stuff. So that would be more important to understand when it comes to the root cause analysis or the RCA kind of stuff. Change management. So this is very important that if anything is changed, due to that change, a chain of services affected, then that would be a major change and that change makes your environment inconsistent. So you have to have the AWS config in place to help you manage changes to your AWS resources by tracking configuration changes and providing notifications when changes are made. So that is very important. Resources relationship. So which resource is dependent on which resource, though the flow of change would be very important, that AWS can understand the relationship between your AWS resources, which can be useful for troubleshooting and optimizing your infrastructure. So this way it will also help you out in making the identifying the relationships. And one more thing is custom rules. So AWS config allows you to define custom rules to evaluate the configurations of your AWS resources against best practices and policies. So this is the AWS config can do. So if you want to take a any kind of demonstration of this AWS config, like where your AWS account with several EC2 instances running, You wanted to ensure that your instances are properly configured to compile with security standards and best practices. To do this, you can use AWS config to continuously monitor the configuration of your EC2 instances. So that way, that AWS config can help you. So this is the AWS config logo, which can easily identify using this logo for the
For more updates, click on subscribe and click on bell button for latest notifications.
service. So the next one is AWS Guard Duty. So what is this AWS Guard Duty and how it can help you out in the AWS? AWS Guard Duty is a threat detection service provided by AWS that helps customers protect their AWS accounts, workloads, and data from potential security threats. Guard Duty analyzes log data from various sources, including AWS CloudTrail, AWS VPC flow logs, and DNS logs, to detect and alert customers to potential security threats such as malicious activity, unauthorized access, and data exploitation. So this way, AWS Guard Duty can help you to actually notify you when there is a potential security threats. So what it actually do? Intelligent threat detection. Guard Duty uses machine learning algorithms and threat intelligence to detect potential security threats such as um, reconscious activity, suspicious network traffic, and unusual API calls. Example, say the API calls are usual. If a human do API calls, they are like as usual. They send a normal API calls and the get the service data. But if at all you do an automation or if you do on something like bots, so you just trigger a bot to call this API. If the detection is not a normal process, then it actually calls so many API calls, so unusual activity on the service. So it can detect that and provide you the notification saying that hey, here is your API calls for so many are going on this service, so that you can go ahead and look at that. So that way it provides the intelligent threat detection. CloudWatch events integration. So whenever you have the CloudWatch events configured on so many other services like AWS services for CloudTrail, VPC, flow logs, or the IAM, so which allows it to detect and analyze activity across multiple AWS accounts and regions. So that's GuardDuty can help you to watch those services and the events from the different services. Automated threats response. Basically, it is an easy to set up use, like where it actually provides you automated thread response. Network visualization. So that's what I said you just a moment ago, that it can actually visualize your network, like network points, how the network inflow is connected between the services. This is about the AWS Guard Duty, which can help you to protect your AWS services using the security detection. Next service is AWS Inspector. AWS Inspector is a security assessment service provided by AWS that helps you identify vulnerabilities, AWS resources, and applications. It automates the process of security assessment by analyzing the configuration of AWS resources, applications, and operating systems and identifying potential security vulnerabilities. So that's where like it inspect the services and provides the vulnerabilities where there is a vulnerabilities. Example, say so many times if you get a 0-day vulnerability, you should act immediately to mitigate that vulnerabilities. Otherwise, your service is in risk. So anybody can exploit the vulnerability and gain the access to your service or the server. Then they can run into your network and they can do whatever they want. So that's the um, inspector can actually protect you from that, doing that uh, in the real time. Let's see what you can do using this AWS inspector. So it's actually do the complaints reporting, provides the complaints reporting. So AWS Inspector can be used to identify security vulnerabilities and compliance issues in AWS resources and applications, helping organizations to meet regularity requirements. So that is the AWS Inspector, and in AWS it actually provides the DevOps security. So it can be integrated with DevOps pipelines to automatically scan application code and identify security vulnerabilities early in the development process. Example, if a developer developing a code and he push to the Git commits like the repository, then it actually have the automated pipelines where once the developer commits the code, then it push into the development process like the testing and all the processes, then it actually deploys into the server, right? That is an automated pipeline process. But if in case the AWS, the developer push in a code, then it immediately identifies there itself, says, hey, this code has some vulnerabilities or this code is missing security standards. Then and there itself, if the developer is fixed and push the code again to the repository, then that's very well identified vulnerabilities, and in once it move to the production, you don't get any security issues. So that is very good feature if you're using in a DevOps practices in your organization. So that's AWS Inspector can provide. Vulnerability management, of course, it scans for the vulnerabilities and provide you the reports for any operating systems and applications, allowing organizations to prioritize and remediate the security issues. Security assessment for third-party applications. It can be used to assess the security third-party applications running on AWS, helping organization to ensure that they are secure and compliant. Example, if you are using the any third-party tools, of course, if all the AWS cannot provide all the services, some services we do procure from the third parties and deploy on AWS environment. In that case, also AWS Inspector can help you to identify the vulnerabilities in the environment so that you can fix them to secure the environment. So that is a major supported version for the AWS. This is the AWS Inspector logo. You can identify using this logo, which is the AWS Inspector service. So the next one is AWS Artifact. So let's see what Artifact can provide here. AWS Artifact is a service provided by Amazon Web Services that provides on-demand access to AWS compliance reports and security documents such as SOC reports, PCI DSS reports, and ISO certifications. AWS Artifact makes it easy to for customer to download and review these documents, which can help them to meet compliance requirements and prepare for audits. Example, if your organization is applying for any kind of ISO certifications or any kind of regularity compliance certifications, then this can help you to figure that out what are the requirements and for the certifications to the organizations, what is the regularities or compliance or security models they have to follow to end that certificate. So this can help you organizations to do that. So how it helps? The architectures of AWS Artifact is relatively simple. The service is built in top of the AWS cloud infrastructure and leverages various AWS services to provide a security and scalable document delivery platform. So actually it generate the customer requirement document. Customers can request a complaints report or security document through the AWS Management Console or the AWS API. The request includes information about the document such as type of report and AWS region where it should be generated. So, example, you have a customer, you are managing the services for them. If they ask any report or document for you, like what is the complaints or you are maintaining, what is the security you are maintaining, let me know. Then you can use the AWS artifact to generate the document, which is an automated process. You don't need to manually generate the document. Document generation, so that's what I said. Artifacts can generate the document using the data from various AWS services such as CloudTrail, AWS config, AWS inspector. The document is generated in the requested region and stored securely in S3 bucket. Uh, Document delivery. So once it is generated, it can be delivered to the auditors or the customers who requires the document via the downloadable format. Document management. So AWS Artifact provides the management interface for customers to view and download their documents as well as to manage their document requests and subscriptions. Customer can also receive notifications when new documents are available, when updates are made to the existing document. So this is a document management example. If any sensitive documents or the legal documents, terms and conditions, financial documents are made available on this artifact, if any documents is updated with the new version or new changes, then it will be notified to the subscriber saying that hey, this document is updated with so and so lines or this so and so changes, go and review it. So that way everybody's aware that if any changes happens on the environment to the policies, rules or anything. Let's see what is the um, artifacts logo here. This is the logo which actually majorly deals with the documents. That's why they say document download logo, something like that. Let's see. The next service is AWS Cognito. AWS Cognito is managed authentication, authorization, and the user management service provided by the AWS. It enables developers to add user sign up, sign in, and access control to web and mobile apps quickly and easily. Let's see what AWS Cognito can provide here. User sign up and sign in. AWS Cognito enables developers to add sign up and sign in functionality to their applications using customizable login UI and pre-built UI provided by AWS. User can sign in using their email and password, social identity providers, or multi-factor authentication. So this is very important that the developer can easily use this already pre-developed framework or the code piece of code. You can where you wanted to have the user sign up sign in actions, then you can just include that code so it can automatically pop up that sign up and sign in buttons for the users to get sign up and sign into the services wherever it's required. User data synchronization. So the Cognito can synchronize user data across multiple devices and platforms, allowing users to access their data from any device. Access control and authorization. Basically, the Cognito provides flexible access control and authorization capabilities, allowing developers to define custom authorization rules based on user attributes or group membership. Example, you have provided the access or the authorization to access that services. So it has some conditions. If the user is part of so and so group, you should provide the access. So that way there are some custom rules, you can define it, then you can access. The Cognito can help you to authorize and provide the access to that particular services. And it also provides the user management, provides a web interface for developer to manage users, groups, and user attributes, making it easy to create and manage user accounts. So this is very important that Cognito can provide a several features in terms like user signing in, sign up, data synchronization, access control and authorization, and user management. So this way, it contributes to the AWS security that providing a proper access control and authorizations to the services so that the developer can also use the same code to simplify their development process. So that's about the AWS Cognito and AWS security services. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Please subscribe to the channel for more upcoming videos and courses. Please do share with your friends and family so that they also can learn along with you.